applicant tracking systems, AI, LinkedIn jobs, all of those were things that were not really on people's radars even a year or two ago. Over the first 4 months of 2020, online interviewing has increased 2,500%. And that's huge. And that's not just because of the pandemic and going to online work. What was already happening is that beginning in 2020, people were already moving from the traditional hiring process to something that is much more streamlined and managed by an applicant tracking system. That means for your interviews and for your resume, for big corporations and even now smaller businesses, you need to be aware that you're not just writing for a person, you're writing to get past and impress a computer. So what we'll be doing during your time here in this class is you have purchased access to Quinsia, which is going to simulate that applicant tracking system experience. So just sort of as an explanation, if you've not used it before, applicant tracking systems are going to manage some of the workload that employers have when they post something online like a job. So we know that the average job posting gets about 250 applications. There's some research out there that some people look at job listings. So we go on LinkedIn, you see a job, and they might spend about 67 seconds before they hit submit. That means that a lot of people are seeing a job at an employer like Microsoft and they're hitting submit without actually looking at whether or not they'd qualify for the job or if it's something that's really appropriate or interesting for them. A big place like Microsoft or Google can get on average each week 50,000 to 70,000 applications. It's an insane number. So how do you go from 70,000 down to the handful of people that you're going to be hiring for those positions? Well, applicant tracking systems created a way to manage that process online. Applicant tracking systems will help you post the job. They'll do initial screening of resumes, provide you with a database of how to do those things. They can perform online interviewing, background checks, and even make predictions about future employee behavior and performance. It's not, again, what the hiring process would have looked like, especially if we go back even 5 or 15 years. That means for you need to be aware that when you submit your resume or when you're doing an interview like this, you might need to adapt your performance to what the expectations are. Quinsia uses a system called HireView, and with HireView, it's going to look at things like the content of what you say, but it'll also look at nonverbals, micro expressions. So did you smile? It'll look at eye contact. It's going to judge you on the quality of your video, which is don't be surprised there, but I think a lot of people are. It wants you to have an appropriate background. It can be set to judge how you dress. So you really need to be aware of how these systems work. What I love about Quinsia, and the reason that we've now adopted this for UT Dallas, is that Quinsia is going to give you an opportunity to have those do-overs, to keep going through the resume improvement process to get it to where you want to be. Otherwise, let's say, again, you didn't have the word experience on your resume above your jobs. It might be that the applicant tracking system automatically rejects your resume. There's been some research on this that suggests up to 95% of resumes are rejected because of things like that, which you don't want to do. So this is going to be a huge prep moment for you so that you can get really good at writing for an ATS system and doing these online interviews. So right here, what I'm going to show you is, minimize my face, an example resume from this is actually one we use to train the AI for Quinsia. One of the cool things about Quinsia for privacy and security is we have our own little database set. I'm sorry, ITS people, for not using all the best jargon, but we have our own database set and where we have programmed the AI specific to UT Dallas resumes. When you upload your resume, it goes into the UT Dallas set. It does not go and, you don't get your resume compared to someone's resume at the University of Arizona. This is just specific to UT Dallas. One day, hopefully not soon in the future, because I love this, but one day if we are no longer partnering with Quinsia, your resume will be deleted from their system. So as long as UTD has a contract, we have things in there stored about what you have on your resume. As soon as we're not contracted with Quincy, all of that data goes away, which is, I think, pretty cool from a privacy standpoint. So what you'll see right here is that the student has uploaded their resume, which is the first step for using Quincy. It has a resume analysis and an interview analysis and a student profile. We use this resume to train the bot, like I said, so there's no interview analysis right here. You'll see that this is a really pretty good resume. Right now it found 20 improvements. For this class, we want you to get down to 5 to 10 improvements depending on how far along you are with your career and internships, and try and also increase your score. So you will see when we first plugged this into the bot, the score was 228, and then as we put in a couple more resumes, it got up to 257 because it's scaling it based on the total set. So it's kind of an interesting way the numbers work. That right there is the university high score. So one of my students in spring 2020 was able to get a 301 on this, which is a really good score. So if you want to set yourself a high goal, that's it. You'll see that this resume has been given a silver. So it's a good resume, but it's not great. I had a couple of little problems. You'll see that the big problems as I scroll down are in the content. Formatting, awesome skills for formatting words. Presence is not as great. It has a soft skills class, so one thing I would encourage you to do there on the soft skills and on the hard skills, make this a little wider for you to see, is you're going to see that it's talking right here about government, about civil engineering and accounting and management, agriculture, and human resources. So one thing I'd encourage you to do, see what you get right there, and then remember, what did you say you wanted to do? This person had a BS in biology and a minor in business administration, so you can guess that, pre-med. But if we were to look at that word cloud right there, what does that mean we need less of? Probably accounting and government. So that will give you some tips too on how to improve that resume for when the real person sees it. When you click on detailed feedback, it's going to pull up different recommendations. So right there under the experience section, it's noting that there's an issue with the format of, if we scroll down, a format of the title because of how they put it in. So you'll get all sorts of different feedback and be able to improve it. Again, remember, this is focused on the UT Dallas setup. After you upload your resume, you'll be able to schedule an interview. When you do that, you will have an opportunity to pick a time that's convenient for you. You'll also have an opportunity to do that a second or a third time. I had some students do it 6 times in the spring. That's up to you. It is going to help you with things like your verbal fillers, your nonverbals, your facial expressions, your hand gestures, and all of that. The side effect here is it's going to make you a whole lot better when you go to do Zoom meetings, when you are doing conference calls online. So there's a huge opportunity here for you. I'm so excited. The other thing that I'd encourage you to do is make sure you're using a really good, neutral setup. One problem that I've heard over and over again is that sort of dorm room effect. I know nobody's in their dorms for summer semester, but let me pause here and I'll show you. So right now I have behind me, I'll lift you up, pretty neutral, so just old dials from my research, but a painting, a chair. But for the most part, you're going to have the camera at eye level. I don't have a super fancy laptop camera or anything. And I also bought, this is the cheapest headphone set they sell at Staples. So I bought that because I was getting so much feedback. The other thing that you're going to notice is just how much more of a mess it looks like if I start to get doors. I also notice that my lighting now, half my face is bright and half isn't. And it gets worse, I think, that if we're taking it all the way around my rolling chair here, that if I've got too much light behind me, it is going to make me not visible. So I don't know if you've been in meetings like this, but I've in my backyard. I've been in meetings like this. I've also been in meetings where people have been presenting like this, which is really awkward, or presenting like that. So with Quincy, it's going to give you feedback on how you look on camera, but when it's talking about how you look, is the camera working? We're not placing an emphasis on dress for these, but I'd encourage you to pick something that you know is going to work for a camera, just again to get that practice. There's research that for mock interviews in person, that the way you dress for a mock interview can help you. So like, let me give an example. You buy a new suit. First time you've ever worn it is to an interview. You're not going to have that like comfortable feel in that suit. I'm going to guess, and so I'm doing some research on this, but it's the same thing for these AI online interviews. So think about what she would wear. So I just have a pretty plain blouse on that is not distracting, not a lot of patterns, and I've got the headset, so it doesn't matter as much what my hair does. But I would encourage you to think about what would look appropriate for that setting. I think the easiest answer for anyone, like ignoring gender, would be a nice button down, unless you know you're interviewing somewhere that's really, really casual or really, really formal. If you're going on either of those directions, I'd encourage you to think about what does my interview outfit look like and put it on. All right, so that was just a quick overview of how Quincy is going to start working for you and what applicant tracking systems are doing. Again, the big thing here is our audience has changed. You have to get past the computers before you can get in front of a real person. There is so much good news with that, and that more people are getting passed for their qualifications, and a lot of that whole resume fluffery that's driven people crazy for years, yeah, that's not going to fly with a well-trained AI system. They're going to be able to pick up on the fact that you might be inflating things, but not really talking about legitimate hard or soft skills. So I'm looking forward to your feedback. Absolutely send me an email if you have any questions. If you have or need help from Quincy, what I'll sort of show you here, bring my screen down, is right there at the bottom. It has this need help button. Click on that. They are a tech company, so they're usually super responsive. I've been really impressed with it. So if any technical issues, hit that need help button. I'm trying to keep our deadlines mostly within business hours because they're not online usually. Sometimes they have been. So I've contacted the CEO and gotten messages at 2 in the morning. But for the most part, they sleep like normal people. So just be aware that that's that opportunity there for you. If you have any other questions about the assignment, let me know. I'm really looking forward to seeing you get better at this.